There's excitement in the air as the governor of Edo State, Mando Pawulo, his deputy, Dennis Idahosa, top government functionaries with APC leaders, faithful and supporters throng the grounds of the Rokota Hall in Benin City, the Edo State capital, for the day's grand event, a rally to receive defectors into the APC.
APC! Pawulo is the governor. Is Edo shining? Is Edo shining?
Phone to the newest member of the party.
When the roll call of new entrants is announced, well-known names, including the Speaker, Edo State House of Assembly, Blessing Agbebako, along with some other members of the House and former PDP chairman, Ansemo Jeswa, top the list. Numerous chairmen and councillors of local government councils, among others, also make the list. To formally receive them on behalf of the national chairman of the party is the national secretary of the APC.
I hereby hand over of our party. Unity, unity, unity and progress. Welcome to the APC.
The Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly gives reasons for his defection to the ruling party, to include the positive changes Governor Pawulo and his team have introduced since assumption of office.
So, Your Excellency, I want to thank you. We, the members of the House, we have been with you. I will continue to be with you. We stand by you to support Asiwaju 2027 because this will be a Southern agenda. And I'm aware that the PDP governors, they are meeting to also know how they will support their own. Then who am I? So we are here to join the governor to support Asiwaju 2027.
The senator representing Edo North, former Governor Adams Oshomole, believes the fresh entrants were attracted to progress as the APC is committed to development.
Those who have joined us didn't join us because they are hungry. They joined us because they have seen what is changing in their communities. So those who want to understand, they will talk about what party state. No, there's only a shared common vision. And if Edo people say this is who we want, who are they to tell us otherwise?
Governor Pawulo attributes the developments being recorded to judicious use of revenue accruing to the state from the federal government.
I can't remember that for 8 years, a governor even bought this vehicle for security. Not to talk of chairman. Now chairman is now buying vehicle. If Asiwaju was not releasing that money to me, and I'm not releasing it to them, can they buy it? The oil subsidy that 1 or 2 persons was pocketing, now Asiwaju is throwing it to us to develop the grassroots. So, such a man, how are we going to pay him? Is it not to vote for him?
In all, it was an event filled with optimism about the bright future of the APC in Edo State and continuous progress for the state. Jessica Oluguse, Channels Television News.
So as it was in the House of Representatives yesterday, so it was in Benin City, the Edo State capital, when the Speaker of the House of Assembly defected to the All Progressives Congress, and he was received at that rally yesterday. Well, that's what we're discussing this morning. The defections across board. What exactly is happening? People have started asking questions. Is Nigeria declining to a one-party state? Those are questions that have been asked. Well, this morning we're being joined here in our studios. We have Mr. Kola Ologbondiyan, who is the former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much, Mark. Good morning.
Good morning. And joining us virtually, we have the APC chairman, as the All Progressives Congress chairman in Edo State, joining us from Benin City. We have to thank you for joining us, Mr. Jairex Tenebe. Thank you for staying on the program.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay, so let me start with you, Mr. Ologbondiyan. This is what is now currently happening. It did happen one time that the PDP was the party in dominance, and this was what they experienced, a defection from different political parties to their own party. And then we were afraid that, oh, was this country going to be ruled by one party state? As a matter of fact, the infighting within the PDP to get the ticket, because it would seem that people knew that when you get the ticket of that particular of the party, you know, you were as good as home and dry with whatever elective position you were contesting. But that changed somewhat in 2015 when the APC was able to torpedo the PDP at the presidential level. And so we thought, okay, there was a balance somewhere. But now it does appear that the APC is gaining ground. What do you make of the recent defections of members, prominent members of your political party to the APC?
Thank you very much, Maokwe. You know, in the footballing business, there's a time they say that the windows are open for transfer.
The transfer season.
That's the transfer season. And you know, for us, those of us who engage in politics, ideology appears to have been totally out. And people just follow, where is it raining? I mean, where can I get something? So if you have done opposition for a period of time, and you believe that, oh, I'm tired of this opposition, so you look elsewhere. But the unfortunate thing is that the voters will determine, if they are allowed to determine, what party they will vote for at the end of the term. I say this as a preamble. But going into what is currently happening in our country, you can still lace it back to the preamble that I have made. But you must also not forget quickly, okay, that the former national chairman announced, Senator Oshomole, did say that if you join the APC, your sins will be forgiven. So there are tendencies of people who have sins that desire that such sins should be forgiven. And now that Senator Oshomole, as national chairman, had sounded the alarm that, look, if you can move in this direction, whatever sins that we have committed will be forgiven. So perhaps this could be responsible. But I also not shy away from the fact that you raised that there's turbulence in the People's Democratic Party as well. And you recall, at several chats that we had here, I did say that in as much as Ambassador Ilyasu Omadamago remains as the PDP chairman, that the party...
Caretaker. He's caretaker chairman.
He's acting chairman. Acting chairman. He's not caretaker.
Okay,
he's
acting chairman. Yeah.
That in as much as he remains the acting chairman, that the party will go nowhere. And as we can see today, the party is really going nowhere. However, we cannot foreclose the possibility of a restrengthening, of a restructuring within the party, which is presently manifesting. And I believe that at the long run of it, the party might be able to rebuild and revive herself and be presentable for election in 2027.
So if you were to look at it, 100% and attribute blame and say, okay, well, this is about, there are a number of reasons. You have given the fact that people have committed sins. You've also spoken to turbulence within the PDP. If you were to share it, what portion would you attribute to sins and what portion would you attribute to turbulence?
Okay, honestly, it's going to be difficult to apportion percentages. You know why? It's a whole mix. The situation we are witnessing in the PDP is a mix. If there are people, you forgot the aspect that I said, that there are people who will believe that, look, I've stayed too long in this opposition. I can't cope any longer. So let me go to the other flank. And they will have a way of saying it, that if we cannot beat them, they would rather join them.
And the reason I ask you is because key states, I mean, in the south of Nigeria, maybe perhaps with the exception of Edo State, which has, shown some dynamism in terms of who it goes with at any particular point in time. the rest of the states have been traditionally, from what we know, PDP. So when we now begin to see defections from, you know, key states such as Delta State, and you've seen someone no less than a former vice presidential candidate defecting to the All Progressives Congress, people will really ask, is it really about sins, or is it really about internal turbulence within the party?
Well, like I said,
yes,
I emphasize the fact that I will not shy away from the fact of the internal turbulence. And I also raised the issue.
How big a problem is that?
The challenge in the PDP.
Yes, would you say it's about 80% of the problem, or 70, or
of that? No,
90?
I've clearly told you.
Yes.
And I will not run away from it. That it's all a mix.
Okay.
You can hardly locate it. That is it. Because even the night before the campaign, the defection in Delta, I also had chat and I had discussion with some prominent members of the party in Delta. And nobody said that by the following morning they were going to leave the party. So that's why I say I clearly stated that, look, it's a total mix of situations. Okay. Total mix. You can't say that, oh, it's because of this or it is because of that. It's all a mix.
Well, clearly the APC has been the major beneficiary of these defections, and in Edo State also they are quite happy, I believe, with what is currently happening. As we'll hear that from the chairman. Ayo, over to you.
Just great to hear you. The interesting thing that is happening here. I'm wondering, first of all, how you are seeing this issue, Mr. Okay, I understand that, we need to stay in Lagos in Abuja for a bit. Well, Mr. Olowole, one of the major issues that come to me about this whole thing is there are many people who have said over and over again that the challenges of the PDP that you are not shying away from dates back at the very least 2022, at the very least. In fact, there are those who would still tailor it back to 2015, where a good number of people, prominent members of the PDP, moved into the APC at the time and then eventually moved back into the PDP. It would seem like the problems of the PDP are more than 10 years old.
You want an answer immediately?
Of course I do.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Ayo.
Yeah.
Well, like I said on another platform, I believe that going back to the issues of 2015, or 2011, 2022, 2023 are all revisionism. And I do not think that what the party needs at this moment is revisionism. I don't think so. I think that, okay, where are we now? Where have we found ourselves? And how do we progress from where we are?
Well, the reason I asked the question, just a second, Mr. Olugbodio. The reason I asked the question is it's been more than 10 years. And we've heard it said before in the PDP that, it's a family affair. We'll solve our problems internally. But rather than get it a little better, it's only gotten worse over the years. That's the reason I'm asking the question. So what's the hope that there's going to be any resolution within the shortest possible time?
Every election comes with a different wave. And within that wave, it carries some people survive, another. So we cannot say that because there was an issue, because if you look at it, you do a clinical analysis of it, you will discover that the issues that occurred in 2015 might be different or will be different from the issues that occur in 2019. And even if you progress further, it could be difficult. It will be different from the issue that happened in 2023. So every election has got its own wave. But having said that, my own position, like I said earlier on, is that even if you go back to 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023, it might not even solve the problem. And that's why I say that, look, where has the problem pushed us so far? Where are we now? And from where we are, how do we get out of here? And how do we convince Nigerians that, we can rebuild and revive the party in a manner that it can still be useful to the ordinary Nigerians out there? So I think that is the issue. That should be the focus for the People's Democratic Party.
Okay.
Not the issue of what happened in 2019.
Well, again,
where
the
are
we
ahead of 2027? That's
I understand.
I
understand the point that you're making, but I mean, just as you even went back to 2011, and there's been quite a number of elections, general elections over time between there. But let me go back to Mr. Tenebe, you know, in Benin. You know, there are a number of people who will wonder, wait a minute, is APC paying the PDP back in its own coin, going by what you have heard Mr. Ologbodinyo said? Or is there something else at play here? It's all for political aggrandizement, as some would say, and not really because the ideologies are different. Mr. Tenebe.
Well, thank you. You see, like Kola said now, that when you join APC, your sins are forgiven. That was what Oshomole said the last time. But let me clear him. He has agreed that PDP is a party of sinners. And I'm sure in the context with which Oshomole meant is if you vote against somebody that is supposed to repair the country, like our president, you have committed sin. And now seeing the performance of the president, are you now agreed that he's performing and you are coming to now join APC? Your sins are forgiven. And you can join the party. I think it's in that context. But let me say it here. The governor of Delta State crossed to APC. It is not as if he's looking for something, he's looking for money or whatever that made him to cross. It's not because he has committed any sin that made him to cross. If these people in question had committed sin, they would have been in EFCC. But they are not. So they cross because of what they are seeing. If you come to Edo State, you discover that when the governor was elected and he was sworn in, he hit the ground running immediately. A lot of things that have not been happening in Edo are happening. Edo State is now a construction site. He's building bridges across the state. He's building schools. He's employing people. All these are the things that were not there before. So it takes a really sinner not to see the good job Monday Okpebolo is doing to make him come to APC. I think that is what is happening. The speaker that crossed yesterday to the party said it clearly. Nobody is influencing anybody. He went to meet the governor and said, Mr. Governor, I was in the government of Obaseki, and you are here today. I have been able to draw a line, and I have discovered that Obaseki was evil, and that you are the real person. So I am ready to cross to APC. That was what happened. And as I speak, after yesterday's declaration, crossing of the speaker, a lot of people have also called. So we are doing another set again within the next few weeks. And I'm going to go on a tour around the state to start receiving them before we do another bigger one to finally crumble the PDP here.
But you know, Mr. Tenebe,
and I will say it here.
Yeah, just one second, if you can hear me. There are those who would say, look, this is all for political patronage and not really for developmental intentions. Over time, in fact, there is opinion out there that, you know, mass defection into parties or from one party into another does not guarantee electoral victory. In fact, if anything, at the end of the day, as Mr. Ologbodinyo said the other time, it depends on the electorate. So, the question then is, how does the APC differ ideologically from the PDP. Otherwise, there are those who are wondering, it's easy because they are two sides of the same coin.
No, you see, Kola said it clearly that PDP is a party of sinners.
Well, I hear that, but I'm talking about ideologically.
APC,
what differs the APC ideologically from the PDP?
the APC is a progressive party, and you can see it in the governance of the entire country. And you can pick the APC states, and you see the governance, the practical governance that you see is a reflection of what is happening at federal. That is what APC stand for. Practical governance. Taking government to the people, and the people, government of the people by the people.
Okay, let me
Not
see
like PDP.
let me check if Mr. Ologbodiyan agrees with you. Mr. Ologbodiyan, in your opinion, how does the PDP differ from the APC?
You know, Jared is my friend, so I understand where he's coming from. It's unfortunate that anybody will look at Nigeria of today and say there's progressive governance. It's laughable. And, you know, a lot of things that are happening in Edo is drama comical. Because what you find out, which you have observed too, number one, it goes back to the electorate. But who doesn't know that in the culture of Nigerian politics, when a new party takes over, the average politician whose life is dependent mostly on the business of politics will naturally go to the other side. Look, you will recall, I don't know, Ayo, if you watch a video in the social media, on the day of the election or the following day of the election, where a member of PDP went to the house of Senator Oshiomhole, and Oshiomhole was shouting, "You can't come here. You can't come here." I can't remember the chap's name. Go back to where you were. That is the lifestyle of our political system in Nigeria. It is rather unfortunate. And that's why when he says that they are progressives, look, the fluidity, and I said this with every sense of responsibility, Ayo, the fluidity in the political system, particularly under this Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu president administration, has shown clearly that our politicians are not ready, they are not prepared at all. And it's unfortunate. Okay, here was a man, or here is a man, sorry, who for 16 years withstood opposition politics. And just in less than 2 years, people are falling over themselves. Let me tell you, I don't know whether you are aware of this, but it's in Wuse Market. You can find out there. The system, the game that they are doing, which can be very, very counterproductive at the end of the day, is to say, oh, they will hold on to the 17 southern states ahead of 2027. And so they will just come to the middle belt, the North Central, and see what they can pick to win election. It doesn't work like that. I'm giving this to them as an advice. It doesn't work that way. Because even in the Southwest, where the president comes from, the division in the ACN, his own political group that he led to the All Progressives Congress, is very manifest. So when you are faced with that, then you are going around and saying, oh, people at the camp, people are telling you that, oh, you can't do this because you are going to a one-party state. You are saying that, oh, no, PDP did it in 2003 when the Southwest governors agreed to work for President Olusegun Obasanjo so that it can come back. It wasn't a nationally ethnicized program or project. No, it wasn't. So, but what we are having today is that we're having a divisive political system in which a part of the country is coming out brazenly to declare that, oh no, this is our own. So what if the other people say, oh, That is our own too.
Yeah, but isn't
how does that lead us?
Mr. Ologbonne,
Or where does that lead us?
Isn't that what has caused all of this? I recall, you know, quite a number of columnists wrote ahead of, you know, the primaries in 2023.
Yeah.
The primaries that led to the 2023 elections, the primaries in 2022. And the conversation was pretty strong in PDP as to whether or not it was going to zone its presidential post, its presidential elections. And the PDP eventually said they were not going to zone, even though the sentiment was quite strong that it was a turn of the South. That if the APC was zoning to the South, it only made sense that the PDP should zone to the South. To avoid this sentiment of us versus them, because we still know how we're managing our fragile national integration, and that people must have a sense of belonging. So when you are giving the APC this advice that maybe this is what they're trying to do, isn't that as a result of the sentiments that are currently prevailing in the country, you know, that some people are seeing this as an us versus them government?
Thank you, Maokwe. This will take me back to the revisionism that I'm running away from.
Can we really run away from it?
No. I said it will take me back to revisionism that I don't want to get involved in. As far as the People's Democratic Party is concerned, I'm interested in what is happening now and how do we get out of here and make a progress. That's my position. But having raised that issue, the PDP did not outrightly say that it's not zoning. There's nowhere. Go and check the books, Malkwe. Nowhere did PDP say outrightly we are not zoning. No.
What did you say?
The PDP created a zoning committee led by the Benue. One was the zoning of the political offices was led by the former governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi, who, while they won for the elective while they won for the elective offices, was chaired by Chief Dr. Sam Otom, then Benue State Governor. While the Ugwanyi committee zone offices, the Otom committee went to meet and came back and said, oh, since forms were already being sold, they couldn't zone. So the party, if the party was not interested in zoning, it would have constituted those committees.
That was a someone said that was a very watery excuse because they didn't want to exclude candidates they thought could win the elections.
If the party wasn't interested in zoning in the first place, why would it constitute a zoning committee? But having made that point, I'm just saying that, look, what is happening now, the issue of trying to force their party, the Progressive Congress, upon people, and Maokwe, if you listen to Jared, that is almost saying that, oh, the company, the nation is in best of time. That's what he's saying. But you and I now, we know the reality. We know is that the situation that we are in Nigeria today, we have seen people calling for Buhari and saying the Buhari's time was even better than now. Have we not witnessed it?
Okay, so let me go to Mr. Chenebe then, you know, because yes, your party seems to be gaining ground and seems to be gaining more members, and all of these defections seem to be working to your advantage. However, people have been asking, what are the plans of the APC with regards to electoral reforms? That they haven't heard much from the APC with regards, yes, it's been talking about the 2027 elections. They're at least 2 years away. The National Assembly is currently sitting, and there ought to be, because as far as people are concerned, you know, all of the political parties can do their shenanigans. What they really want is a process that produces the candidate that they truly voted for. And it is up to the party in power to come up with electoral reforms that strengthens the process. And so far, so good. It doesn't appear that they have heard much from the APC with regards to electoral reforms.
Well, I think the reforms that have been in our electoral process, I think they are okay. We now have the beavers machine. We saw the election in Edo State. We saw how transparent it was. Even when the PDP tried to bring in fake results, I think with the beavers and the rest of it, they were checked immediately. So I think the reforms we already have in order. I think they are okay.
Sorry to interrupt you. So, I really hate to interrupt you, but you have, made me feel, forced me more or less, because you just talked about the Edo elections, which are still very controversial. Yes, the tribunal has delivered verdict in favor of Governor Monday Okpebholo. However, the candidate of the PDP insists that he is going to go to appeal. And looking at the CSOs who monitored that particular election, they say that it was one of the worst processes that they had witnessed in recent times. So by what standard do you say that they were transparent and they were fair? The fact that, yes, we have beavers, it's still not enough, clearly, and people are still asking for more. For instance, the IREV, which INEC promised was going to work, they say they need it to work.
Well, I'm surprised you are talking about the CSOs that came up to say the election was not transparent. You see, we had two groups in Edo at that point, and there was a division. There were the part Obaseki paid to go and make that statement. There were some that were not paid, and they came out to say the election was transparent. And don't also forget, I'm sure channels covered it, how Obaseki came into INEC to try to, with Ghana must go, to try to get INEC influence, to influence the election in their favor. But again, the INEC, because they are strong and the strong character people in our INEC, they refused. It was all in the press. So I am sure that Edo State election was the most transparent election I've ever seen. And that election was won by Governor Monday Okpebholo. And that is what the tribunal has affirmed. Yes, they are the appeal court. Normal, they can be in the appeal court, because if they are not in appeal court, if they don't go to appeal court, how will the Aswe Godalo be getting money to run his system? Because I'm sure he spent a lot of money for nothing in the election. So that's the reason why I'm sure he's going to appeal, because he knows he has no case. So the electoral system as we have now,
because you said something
is very good.
Important there. You said there was a part that, talking about the CSOs, there was a part that Governor Obaseki paid. There was a part. Did you say there was a part that APC paid as well?
Yes. No, I said Obaseki paid. We didn't have money. We're not a government, so we didn't pay anybody. I said there is a part Obaseki paid to say the election was not transparent. And there's another part who on their own said the election was transparent. We had no money to pay anybody. We had no money going into that election because we were opposition in the state.
Usually the way CSOs work, and yes, at least, one of them whom we know is very credible, Yaga Africa, the way they work is, they look at the process. For them, the outcome is never important. It's like mathematics. When a teacher is looking at, you've been given a problem, how do you get to your answer? It's not so much the answer that you produce. As a matter of fact, while going through school, some of us even got marks for the process itself. The process carries more marks than the result. So they just look at the process. If this is the process that INEC says they're going to follow, they say, okay, let us see how you followed that process through. And from what they could see, they said, no, INEC, if this is the process you stated for yourself, you did not even pass your own process. And that's what they came out to say. And they showed what it is that they were talking about. So why do you say that for the CSOs who came out to say that the elections failed the integrity test in Edo State, that they must have been paid? Why do you say that?
No, let me ask you. The Yaga Africa you are talking about, how many staff did they have? And how many units do we have in Edo State? Did they have staff to cover all the units in Edo State for them to come up with such a thing? So do you need a rocket scientist to tell you that such people were paid to say what they went to go and, the rubbish they went to go and say there?
As far as you're concerned, because your candidate won in this election, the process must have been, the process really doesn't matter. There's
no way we would have won because we worked. And Obaseki was an abysmal failure. And the voters, they are aware. Obaseki was fighting the Oba of Benin, was fighting everybody. All the people that brought him, he fought them. So there was nobody with him. So what do you expect in such an election? So they needed to choose between evil and good. So they chose the good, and the good is Modi Okpebolo. And the evil is Aswe Godalo. And as we speak,
I think for a number of people, it's not so much as per what has happened. That is still in the court. I mean, the Court of Appeal is still there. The Supreme Court is still there. And I'm sure they're looking through the process. If they find faults anywhere, they clearly will say. But, you know, that's what I'm just trying to put that on the record. That this was what was said about the Edo elections because you made reference to it. I think for a number of people, it's what to do to improve the process. It's when we now say that, oh, there is no need to improve. After all, we already have beavers. Then that's when people will say, oh, it means that you think that what we have is perfect. And as far as a lot of people are concerned, our elections are far from perfect. Are you then saying that the APC has no agenda with regards to getting our electoral process to be even stronger than it currently is?
I'm not saying that. It's one step at a time. What I'm saying is that the steps taken so far, it's okay. Because these elections that we have now are better than the ones we had before. So as we progress, the reforms will be coming. But what I am saying is, I am defending what we have on ground because we just had the election. And I was a player, and I know that the elections were free and fair. And there's no way you can steal. The PDP tried to steal, and they were caught because the system is okay.
Well, Mr. Ologbodino, I do not know if you want to quickly, because for a number of people now, as far as they're concerned, you know, I've seen some responses to this defection. And for some people, they say, look, before, in the olden days, in the olden days of the Fourth Republic, yes, you needed to win, you needed to have governors on your side, but that it was seen that has been demystified with what happened in the 2023 elections when Governor Peter Obi was able to garner as many as 12 states in the presidential election without the support of any governor. So for you, as far as they're concerned, they think that borders largely on the electoral process. If the electoral process is free and fair, you know, independent candidacy, while we're still advocating for that, might still be a thing that is realizable. So for you, what do you think should be at the heart of the agenda? Because I know that when you started the conversation, you say ultimately, yeah, people can defect however it is they want to defect, but ultimately the decision lies in the hands of the people of Nigeria. So for you, what do you think needs to be done to strengthen our electoral process, that whatever happens, I mean, politicians can jump however they like, it is still very much in the hands of the people of Nigeria to decide?
Absolutely, Maokbe. And I like the reference you made to the 2023 election as it concerns Governor Peter Obi, who was the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and had no governor, and was able to pull over 6 million votes. And even if you test the climate, the culture out now, and listen to what Nigerians are saying, they're borderless. What they are just waiting for is 2027 election. In fact, there are some who are very brave and who describes even the sitting president as OTP. You know what OTP is? One-term president. That's the boldness that people have brought out. So I think we must ensure that in 2027, we don't have an election in which glitches will determine who the president is. And I know you can recall what happened to the issue of glitches, which stop results, which change results, and what have you. So Nigerians are hoping, although I believe that we're already hearing it, that the tenure of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu will soon be over. But I hope that his successor will be a person of character. And even if he's not a person of character, I hope that Nigerians can mobilize themselves and determine for themselves who will best govern them.
Oh, gentlemen, I wish we had a little more time, but sadly we're out of time.
Thank you very much.
We have to thank you both for coming on the program. Mr. Jarrett Tenebe is the chairman of the All Progressives Congress. He joined us virtually from Benin City in Edo State. Thank you so much for staying with us on the program. We also had right here in our studios Mr. Kola Ologbondiyan, who is the former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party.